Buddy, Big G here with another Phasmophobia video, and show you how to identify each ghost that we have. Each one of these ghosts, how to identify them, their special abilities and stuff like that, to make the hunts a lot easier on zero evidence, which is the runs that I'm doing. So we're still using our strategy, our leveling up strategy, and like 2 days ago I was level 23. I'm now up to level 48 thanks to some successful hunts that I've done. I've got a lot of money. I have 11 grand. I'm level 48, so I'm already halfway, just about halfway to prestige level 2 out of 20. So I'm sticking to that method to level up pretty quick. As you can see, I now have a lot of tier 2 gear now, so I'm getting pretty far. Unlocking new gear, getting a lot of money, leveling up real quick. It's pretty good. Alright. And we're gonna go to Camp Woodwind, and it has the Blood Moon thing. So the ghosts are gonna be a little bit more active. So the hunt will be a little bit more difficult, but it won't be as bad. Okay. Okay. Alright, before we take off, I will show you how to do this. Alright, this is a no evidence hunt. So we're not gonna. This is what we're worried about. All these ghosts right here. Alright. So starting with the spirit. To identify the spirit on zero evidence, lay down some smudges. And if the ghost takes about 3 minutes and then it hunts, it's a spirit. If it hunts you before 3 minutes, it's not a spirit. The wraith is one of the easiest. It's one of the easiest ghosts to identify. All you got to do is put some salt down when you're doing zero evidence runs, like I am. Just put some salt down, and if when the ghost hunts you and it doesn't disturb the salt, it's a wraith. To identify the phantom, you have to pay attention to the ghost blinks. So when it hunts you, and let's say you see the ghost in a blink and then it takes a really long time for the next blink, that's a phantom. That's the only way to identify a phantom. A poltergeist is really easy. When the ghost hunts you and it's throwing a bunch of shit everywhere and stuff goes flying, like it picks something up and throws it like a country mile. That's a poltergeist, very easy. The Banshee is, on zero evidence, is actually pretty tough because my difficulty is supposed to be copied from Apocalypse 3, which is the hardest difficulty on Phasmophobia. So, for me to identify a Banshee, I have to bring out the parabolic microphone, and if I get a scream, it's a Banshee. That's the only way to identify the Banshee on zero evidence. But since there's zero evidence, I don't know if you'll be able to get that unique ability from the Banshee. I haven't done that yet, so it's been pretty tough for me to identify a Banshee. The Jinn, the Revenant, and the Fae are all the fast ones, but the Jinn will speed up when you're in its line of sight, but then when you're out of its line of sight, it goes back to normal speed. That's the Jinn. The Revenant is always fast, but the Revenant and the Fae are actually pretty similar, so it's kind of tough to tell the difference between the two. However, the Fae will start out really fast, and then throughout the contract, it will age and it will slow down. So if the ghost tends to do that, if you plan to stick around, it's a Fae. If it stays really fast, it's a Revenant. A Dagon is pretty much the opposite of those three. A Dagon will always know where you're at, so like you can't hide from a Dagon, and it will slow way down when it is hunting you. So that's a Dagon. A mare the only way to identify a mirror is um, if the ghost doesn't turn on any lights by itself. It could be a mirror. The easiest way to identify a mirror is if you're in the same room as a ghost and you try to turn a light on, it immediately turns it back off. If it does that, that's a mirror. The shade is one of the most boring ghosts in the contract. The shade is the ghost that doesn't do anything at all unless you leave the ghost area and it starts getting active. It's a shade. A demon, the most dangerous ones. The easiest way to identify a demon is if you smudge the area and then the demon hunts you within a minute and a half, or the ghost hunts you within a minute and a half, compared to, actually, within 60 seconds, actually. If the ghost hunts you within 60 seconds of the area being smudged, it's a demon. A Ure, the only way to identify this is if the ghost opens or closes door, or closes it all the way, it's a Yuri. An Oni is pretty easy to identify. The easiest way is during the hunt. So if the ghost is blinking and it stays in physical form for a really long time, or it hunts for a really long time, like 7 seconds or so, I think it is, it's an Oni. A Yokai. Yokai is the only ghost that activates to your voice, so an easy way to do this is that as soon as the ghost hunts, turn your radio on, and you'll hear some static, and if the ghost doesn't come to your location with the radio static, it's a yokai. If it does, it's not. For the Hantu, an easy way to identify a Hantu, because the Hantu is the only ghost that has freezing breath. If you see freezing breath from the ghost as it's hunting, it's a Hantu. The Goryo is one of the most annoying ones. Because of its special ability, it's kind of hard, especially on no evidence. So the only way to identify a Goryo is if you have the dots out, and then you get the camera, and then you see the ghost on the camera, but not in reality, it's a Goryo. But that's really hard to do on zero evidence. So, like, if you have the dots out, you're not going to be able to see the ghost at all because there's zero evidence. So Goryo is really, really annoying to identify. I have gotten Goryo quite a bit, so but it's hard to identify Goryo with zero evidence. The Myling is the quiet ghost. So if the ghost is hunting you and it's not making a whole lot of noise, but its footsteps are really loud, it's a Myling. The Onryo is the ghost that fears fire. So if you have a firelight or candles or anything like that, and it blows them out like almost immediately, it's an Onryo. The twins are pretty tough to identify, but I think to identify the twins, it has something to do with like really fast footsteps or something like that. Don't get that confused with the Revenant and the Jinn and the Fae. The twins have been pretty difficult to identify. The Raiju, we all know that's the one with electricity. So to identify the Raiju on zero evidence, bring some electronics with you and just like set them down on the floor, like have them on, but set them down on the floor next to where you're going to hide. And then if the ghost speeds up around those electric devices while it's hunting you, it's a Raiju. An Obake is another really easy one. That's the only ghost that shapeshifts. So when it's hunting you, and let's say it's a little boy, and then all of a sudden it goes to a grown adult, it's an Obake. So pay attention to that. So during the ghost blinks, you'll see it become a different model. If it's female, it only shapeshifts to female models. If it's male, it shapeshifts to male models. So that's the only way to identify an Obake. The Mimic is a real pain in the ass. It's one of the worst ghosts ever. I really hate the Mimic because, like the name says, it can mimic other ghosts. But in zero evidence, it's actually really easy to identify a mimic because the mimic special ability is the ghost orbs. So if you have the video camera out and you see a ghost orb on zero evidence, boom, it's a mimic right off the bat. The Morai is hard to identify. I think for the Morai, yeah, they place curses on you and stuff like that. I don't know what hyperosmia is. I don't know what that is. But the Morai is difficult to identify. And then you have the Dagon and the Thay. I already said those. So, we're going to do our contract, and I'll show you how to... I think I showed you guys how to do this, so you should be able to get a reading. However, my strategy is if I don't know what the ghost is after the first hunt, I try it again, and I try to bring like the firelight if I want to. I try to bring a video camera to see if I get ghost orbs. You know, you can bring electronics to try to identify a Raiju if it is. You know, that kind of stuff. So, here we go. Sometimes the ghost will hunt immediately. Sometimes it'll give me a little bit of time just to set up. Yeah, see, it's hunting already. Okay, so it's not a yokai. So I can rule that out. So we can cross that off. Alright. And I didn't use my smudges because the ghost was way over there. But I think it heard me because it started coming right after me when I used the... oh, it's hunting again. I think this is a demon, guys. I think this is a demon because it hunted me like almost immediately. So if we just go to the ghost page and look at demon, it says the most aggressive ghost we've ever encountered, known to attack without reason. They seem to enjoy the thrill of the hunt. Demons will initiate hunts more often than other ghosts. That's a strength. However, they fear the crucifix and will be less aggressive near one. And I didn't have a crucifix down. So the ghost hunted twice already, which is really fast. So I got a good feeling that that was a demon. Let's see if we're right. No, that was a Raiju. Okay. Alright. That was a Raiju, apparently. I didn't know the Raiju can hunt twice within a short amount of time. I did not know that, so... Okay, so we were wrong that time. I thought for sure that was a demon, but... I guess not. But I didn't have any, electronic devices to identify the Raiju, but it was a Raiju. Alright, let's try this again. Hopefully we get a right identification this time. Alright. Alright, we're gonna try this again. Alright, this time I'm able to put the salt down. I got a little bit of time. Okay, it walked in the salt, so it's not a way. Alright, easy enough. Alright, so it's near my area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the video camera and see if I get a ghost orb. And here it comes. Thing is fast. Okay. I couldn't really tell what that was. Might have been a poltergeist. That might have been a poltergeist. That was really hard to tell exactly what that was. So, I didn't get any ghost orbs, so it's not a mimic. It wasn't really fast, so I can rule out Jinn, Revenant, Fae. It went right to my location, so it's not a yokai. It wasn't an obake. Might have been a myling. Might have been a myling. Let's bring the firelight as well. And see if it blows it out immediately. There you go. Okay. I'm gonna try and see what this thing is. Oh, and it got me.